I'm struggling to work out what the coalition of the willing actually does on the ground. As far as I understand it, UK troops couldn't fire at Russian troops. If Russian troops opened fire, we couldn't retaliate, and nor could anybody else, because of what that would provoke. So is it just some kind of slightly more tepid training mission in reality?
The operational meeting is where the discussions are taking place as to what the capabilities will be. I've indicated a willingness for the United Kingdom to play a leading role in this, and indicated that if it's necessary, that will be troops on the ground and planes in the sky. There are different capabilities from different countries, but those are the operational discussions that are going on in relation to what this coalition of the willing will be able to provide. And therefore, it's in all of our interest to make sure the security arrangements are robust enough to defend the deal and to hold the peace. Otherwise, we'll repeat the history of recent years where Putin will breach the line again.
Now let's jump from Ukraine into the heart of Europe. Just recently, the Munich Security Conference took place. And what we have seen here is that there was some kind of a political earthquake developing. First of all, it started with some words Trump said in direction of the Europeans. The question is Trump on the side of the Europeans or not? It became more detailed when representative of the US government visited Munich. First of all, we had the visit of the defense minister, who said very clearly that a return of Ukraine to the pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective, and it's just causing more suffering. And this is important, it's not time for the US to step in, no, it's time for the Europeans to step into the arena, so to take responsibility. The next thing is that he said any troops in Ukraine will be not American ones, it will be European ones, and they are not covered by the NATO Alliance Article 5. And this was the last thing the American defense minister said, NATO is nothing for the Ukraine. And this is important because when we look in detail on all the supplies which are coming in from the Europeans and especially from the Americans, then you clearly can see that the most important supplier, of course, is the Americans. So if the Americans step back, the Europeans have to ask themselves, will we fill this gap or not? The next thing which was interesting is that President Trump said he wants his money back. So there was a contract offered to the Ukrainians to exploit minerals and rare earths in the Ukraine. And it even leaked to public, so we can actually see that it was the will of the Americans to get at least access to 50% of these resources, which was rejected by the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Let us also discuss a little bit more in detail a possible future demilitarized zone. A lot of people think, especially in the West, that this zone is pretty much going along the front line, maybe also going to the north, which is pretty much representing the border in between Russia and Ukraine. The Russian perspective is a completely different one. The Russians want to have everything east of Kiev. Why? Because already now it is possible, theoretically and practically, by using long-range weapons like the Storm Shadow, to hit a target by using that rocket from the area east of Kiev in direction of Moscow. So any demilitarized zone from the Russian side has to be pretty much everything east of the Dnieper to avoid any threat to Moscow by using from the Ukrainian or even European side missiles like the Storm Shadow. And if you now look in the Russian social media, then you pretty much can already see that idea. So you can see that pretty much Russia has occupied in the future maybe everything east of the Dnieper, and they also want to have the terrain to the west of the Dnieper and the south, because they want to deny any access of the Ukrainians to the Black Sea, they want to control Odessa, and they want to have a land bridge to Transnistria. And that will make Ukraine a landlocked country which no access to their important resources in the west and in the south of the country. It seems the Europeans still haven't understood what it looks like, and they still haven't understood what these American plans pretty much mean, not only for Ukraine, but also for Europe itself. And of course, there are a lot of questions, especially when it comes to the so-called mission in Ukraine, the use of European troops in Ukraine. Let us once again have a look at the distances. So I have put Ukraine and its borders into the central of Europe. So you can see this long front line from, in that case, Switzerland up to the Czech Republic, 1,100 kilometers, plus another two front lines, one at Kharkiv to the west of Prague, and one at Kursk, which is pretty much to the south of Berlin. So this is about 1,300 kilometers. The distance from Switzerland to the Czech Republic is already like from Berlin to London, just to give you an idea. Another question is these European troops. How many do we have to use along these lines? And especially, it's not only about troops along the lines, but also they need some kind of capabilities in the different domains. For example, a robust air force or something like this. And of course, there is also the question about the mandate. What kind of mandate will they have? Will be the UN Security Council come up with a mandate or not? And these are all questions which are not answered at the moment. But on the other side, we can really see that Putin already has won a big victory. Why? Because President Barack Obama said that Russia is a regional power. He said that in 2014. Now, when you look about the words Trump used referring to Putin, then you can actually see that they are talking about a competitor. So that means he's actually on the same level like the US. You can also see that Trump says that Putin is a world leader, which brings him also on the same level. And of course, that only that country is able to produce peace, which are also able to produce this via strength. And this is already a big win for Putin. So he is back in the global arena. That's what he always wanted after 2014. And when we now quote the head of the Munich Security Council at the end of the event, then we can clearly see how difficult the situation has now become for the Europeans. He's actually saying that it has become an European nightmare, and no one knows what the situation will bring in the near future. While the Europeans are still stunned and shocked by the American messages, the hybrid war against Europe is still ongoing. We not only can see that Russia is conducting aimed and targeted sabotage actions against European countries and NATO countries, but we also can see that they are conducting cognitive warfare against our societies. At the end of our today's briefing, I would like to use this AI-generated picture to give you an idea how the world looks like maybe in the future. First of all, this AI-generated picture refers to a very important and prominent historical event. Today, actually, you can see the leader of China, United States, and Russia. And we can see that the world is changing already. So the world-based order is maybe not valid anymore in the future. And the resources are already flowing in different other regions of the world. And this is the important thing for us Europeans, because we have to consider what is our role in the future of the world.
Alright. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, double honors to the elder prophet GMS, who do well. Salute you brothers for pushing this word, and truth and sincerity strength by YAHAWASHI, and shalom to you brothers and sisters born and trusted by YAHAWASHI. Shalom to you too, right? I'm out here to talk about the downfall of this wicked destructive kingdom known as Babylon the Great, Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, Rome, all those ancient empires brought up into one, controlled by Esau, Edom, so-called white man, the devil, that the Bible speaks of, right? I'm out here to gather the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of the Nicolaites of the Native America. Those are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites according to the King James Bible. And only the elect out of the Nicolaites of the Native America is going to repent and serve YAHAWASHI and truth. Right? Now, in the beginning, I showed y'all Steinmeier, the British Prime Minister over there, talking about a coalition of the willing over there in Ukraine, right? And I showed you a video concerning how, I want to say he a soldier analyzing the map concerning where the Russians is going, and it's contrary to what the people in the West think, meaning Great Britain too and America. It's contrary. And the way he was explaining it, like, look, Russia gonna landlock Ukraine and they gonna take Odessa, but we shall see. But the point of me showing you that is so you will be in the know concerning information that's going on in the world contrary to the Western narrative. You see, because the way the Western narrative push it, like Donald Trump got everything under control, that's not so. And Vladimir Putin is destroying them soldiers in Ukraine, mopping them up, right? And America can't do nothing about it, man. But that just shows you the weakness of Europe. Now, me understanding and looking at all this news for all these years and looking at how Ukraine is taking place, when Joe Biden was in office, that showed me how weak America is. Now, when Donald Trump in office, that shows me how weak Europe is when it comes to Russia, man. And the Heavenly Father and His Son have built them Russians up to take down Babylon the Great, man. When Russia's gonna be the end of Babylon the Great, man. And there ain't nothing nobody can do on this planet. It's nothing. You can't turn it back. You can't pray it away. You can't stop it, man, because that's the plan of YAHAWASHI. And YAHAWASHI told us, you know, when He was on the earth, He told us about nations, you know, what happens to nations if they're divided. And I'm gonna read it. This is Mark. This is Mark. This is Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Verse 25.
Yeah, it's self-destruction.
And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So the Lord will let you know that there's no way a nation or a kingdom can stand if it's divided. And that's what happened to us as a people. You know, I'll read it again. This is Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. But if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So, like I was showing you concerning the video, them Russians got a point of view of what's taking place, and the West got a point of view of how they want things to go, which it ain't gonna work, man. You see, because they divided, man. And looking into the future, the way that guy was explaining it, he was explaining that you're gonna have them three powers. You're gonna have Russia, China, and America. But that's not so, man. You see, America is not gonna make it. And the children of Israel is the one that's gonna be set in power up under YAHAWASHI and ruling the earth. America gonna get wiped out, and Russia and China gonna lose power, man, in the earth, man. So it's not gonna play out like people think it's gonna play out on the earth, because these Edomites is the last heathen ruling empire on the earth. This is it for them. You see, these Edomites, these heathens, this is the last rulership of the heathen nations that's on the earth. Okay, this is Mark after Babylon fall, aka America. This is Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. Verse 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. All right. So we jumping to Jeremiah 50, right? And I want to bring this out concerning Great Britain. This Jeremiah 50, and let's see. This is Jeremiah 50 and 12. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nation shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So here it is. It says verse 12 again. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you, because America came out of Great Britain, okay? That's where America come from. It came out of Great Britain, and then you had the 13 colonies. And through that, that's how America was established, out of Great Britain. It says, it's Jeremiah 50:12. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost part is the end of the earth. In this case, it's the end of the Edomites rulership, man. It's the end of the Edomite rulership. This the last rulership of these heathen nations. The top heathen is Esau, Edom, so-called white men, the devil that the Bible speaks of. It says, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So Great Britain is gonna turn on America because of economics, man. Because everybody is when you watch the news and see what's going on, these nations are getting ready to go to full-scale war, right? This is the beginning of World War III, but they finna go to full-scale war, and they're gonna be fighting over resources, man, because that's what it's about. And Great Britain is finding out that this situation that's happening in Ukraine, America is looking to stab Great Britain and the EU in the back, man. You see? So that's prophecy was taking place, and that's the pride of Babylon the Great, because they push the vibration out there, America first. So they not looking at these nations to keep on sustaining them and keeping them up. You see, they gonna have to go on their own. But in the process of World War III escalating, these nations are gonna pick sides, man. And you're gonna have some nations fighting with America, but they're gonna end up turning on her and burning her. You see, that's what's gonna happen. Because it's already tension concerning division amongst NATO and the EU. You can't have one without the other. You got to have the EU nations within NATO because they part of NATO. And you got some EU nations that's part of NATO, and that's what you got. And NATO is the military part of the beast, and the EU is the financial part. But they starting to see they can't sustain themselves without America, man. But that's prophecy that it was gonna happen like that. So I'll read this again. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost part of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So that's going to be the end game of America. Let's see what the word hindermost part means. See if I can pull that out. Or the blue letter, see what we got out of that. See what we can get out of that too. Jeremiah 50 and 12, right? Everybody always want to snap pictures, man. Like this is a zoo. Man, these people are crazy out here. Alright, this is the hindermost part, the meaning, if I in the Blue Letter Bible. Reason. And it's Strong's it's Strong's H 319, right? Strong's H 319. It says a part end, issue, event, latter time, prophetic for the future time. So the last, hindermost. So that's why I said what I said concerning this is the last heathen rulership. Okay, these Edomites gonna be the last heathen rulership. And this is it. Ain't no other nations coming into power, man. China ain't coming into power, man. That ain't gonna happen, man. America gonna get burnt and everybody gonna go in slavery up under the Nicolachinos and Native Americans. We the next power on the earth, man. Contrary to popular belief. Let me see what we got in the lexicon down there. It says in the lexicon, the Hebrew the Genesis Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it says the latter part, extreme part. That's all I wanted out there. Let me see. Okay, so it's saying the end part, the last part, the extreme part, and then it says the in future days. So in future days, according to this prophecy, it's saying that this land gonna be a desert. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of the rulership of these Edomites and these other nations. Okay, heathen nations. All right, so got that up out of there. I'll read it again when we jump it. Right? It says, this is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Right? That's what's going to take place, right? When the Most High burn this place, right? You see? So we jump.